Welcome, anime lovers. Today we embark on a journey down memory lane, uncovering hidden secrets and curiosities about your favorite series. We'll dive into little-known anecdotes about Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Sailor Moon, Evangelion, and more. We'll also talk about the animation studios behind these classics, such as Toei Animation, Madhouse, Gainax, and Studio Ghibli, and reveal technical details, Easter eggs, and surprising differences between manga and anime. Get ready to relive that nostalgia as we reveal facts that even the most veteran fans don't know. Naruto's Japanese voice is provided by a woman. Junko Takeuchi, one of the most renowned voice actresses, voices the young ninja. This type of casting is not uncommon in shonen. Goku and Luffy are also played by women in Japanese. Shikamaru Nara has an IQ of over 200, higher even than real historical figures such as Einstein or Hawking. This numerical precision highlights Kishimoto's obsession with giving his brilliant characters realism. Originally, Kishimoto thought that Naruto would not be a ninja, but a wizard. He eventually changed his mind because he found it too complicated to explain magical powers instead of ninjutsu. Luckily, he decided to keep him as a ninja warrior and thus create the unique universe we know. Rock Lee and his sensei Guy are directly inspired by Bruce Lee. They share the same birthday and physical similarities, hair, frown, and hand-to-hand combat attitude, as Kishimoto himself has confessed. This tribute was so direct that it includes famous quotes from Bruce Lee. "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks," appears almost verbatim in the series. In a curious crossover between Naruto and One Piece, the character Sanji was originally going to be called Naruto. When Eiichiro Oda introduced Sanji shortly after the start of Naruto, the mangaka considered it problematic to use the same name as Kishimoto's protagonist, so he changed it. That's how connected both universes were from their origins. A technical design fact: Naruto's famous headband, the ninja protector with the Konoha symbol, was actually a practical decision by Kishimoto. Drawing it simplified the art of his eyes, saving him time when illustrating episode after episode. Dragon Ball was inspired by the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West. Akira Toriyama wanted to reflect the Monkey King and his companions. Thus, Goku is equivalent to Sun Wukong, the Buddhist monk turned monkey, and characters such as Oolong and Yamcha have their counterparts, the pig Shubeiji and the demon Shao Wujing. Toriyama even drew sketches of Goku with ape-like features before deciding on a more manga look for the character. Master Kame Sennin, Mutant Roshi, draws on legend. Thanks to the sacred water of the enchantress Urani Baba, he becomes virtually immortal. At the end of the manga, he is 354 years old and still in good shape. This mythological explanation justifies why he ages very little throughout the series, although he can die in combat. Androids 17 and 18, their real names were Lapis, 17, and Lazuli, 18, and together they form Lapis Lazuli, a bright blue semi-precious stone. Toriyama chose these names to give them a symbolic link. In a funny production accident, what was supposed to be called Dragon Ball 2 ended up being named Dragon Ball Z. The logo designer mistook the 2 for a Z, but when Toriyama saw the final proposal, he decided to keep it. Thus, the iconic Z in the name of the saga was born. Contrary to what many people think, Goku is remarkably compassionate. Throughout the entire Dragon Ball franchise, he only physically kills 5 characters, including Frieza and Majin Buu in their original form. The rest of his victories usually lead his rivals alive or transformed. Eiichiro Oda is a huge fan of Dragon Ball and Akira Toriyama. His youthful admiration is evident in the similarities between Goku and Luffy: adventurous spirit, optimism, a big appetite. So much so that Oda and Toriyama even created official crossovers between Dragon Ball and One Piece. For example, in the Special Dream 9, Luffy and Goku's crews meet directly. Among the One Piece characters, Oda's personal favorite is Gaiman, the strange pirate trapped in a chest with a bush for a head. He was fascinated by the idea of a character marginalized for 20 years, living outside the mainstream of the crew. This unexpected fondness reveals a lot about Oda's sense of humor. One Piece is full of real-life references. Many characters are based on historical pirates or celebrities, and Oda intersperses jokes in his SBS fan questions. For example, Whitebeard's identity or the design of certain accessories are often inspired by period films or even other manga, something that keeps fans always on the lookout for nods. Studio Ghibli has an interesting television background. Before filming My Neighbor Totoro or Princess Mononoke, its founders were already working in TV animation. Isao Takahata directed the series Heidi, 1978, and the young Hayao Miyazaki participated in its animation. Imagine Totoro teasing Abelardo in that golden age of animation. Sailor Moon, Naoko Takeuchi shoujo phenomenon, differs greatly in anime versus manga. The original manga is more adult and fast-paced. In contrast, the anime included fillers and repetitive episodes because the monthly manga ran at the same pace as the weekly anime, so many new scenes were lengthened so as not to get ahead of the story. Currently, the Sailor Moon Crystal version corrects this, faithfully adapting the manga without so much filler. Evangelion and Gainax. Neon Genesis Evangelion is famous for its psychological approach and cryptic ending. The Gainax studio, founded in 1984 by Hideaki Anno and his college classmates under the initial name Daikon Film, rose to fame with this series. Gainax combined mechas, religion, and trauma to create a cult anime. Many details, such as the names of angels or scenes with Christian symbolism, are hidden at first glance and have multiple interpretations among fans. Toei Animation, 1956, is the giant behind many classic anime series. Its successes include Dragon Ball, One Piece, Sailor Moon, Saint Seiya, Digimon, and Pretty Cure, to name a few. It has adapted major manga series by Toriyama, Oda, Takeuchi, Kurumada, and others for the screen. For many Latin Americans, Toei is synonymous with childhood. It pioneered the mecha and magical girl genres. For example, Mazinger Z laid the foundations for the robot genre in the 1970s. Madhouse, 1972, was founded by former members of Mushi Production, Osamu Tezuka's studio. Its name came from Matsuda House, a local store, although in English it also means Madhouse. Since then, it has produced anime titans Death Note, Monster, Hunter x Hunter, Trigun, Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D, and Perfect Blue, among others. Madhouse became famous for its artistic quality and for taking on adaptations of established manga such as Naoki Urasawa, Monster, and Clamp, X/1999, Cardcaptor Sakura. Gainax, 1984-2024, is the studio behind Evangelion, which started as a college fan club, Daikon Film. Hideaki Anno, Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, and their colleagues brought risky proposals to anime, Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water, Gurren Lagann, and, of course, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Gainax gained fame for its original plots and unexpected endings. Unfortunately, in 2024 the company declared bankruptcy. Its legacy, however, continues to inspire each new generation of creators. Studio Ghibli, 1985, is not known for TV series, but its films have made history. Founders Takahata and Miyazaki first worked on series such as Heidi before creating their cinematic masterpieces. With titles such as My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, and Howl's Moving Castle, Ghibli coined a recognizable style, vibrant colors, emotional stories, and nods to Japanese folklore. Fun fact, in the original storyboards, Miyazaki conceived Totoro with two tails. He finally settled on one, small design changes that fans love to discover. Many curiosities arise from production decisions. For example, the color palette of Dragon Ball. Toriyama tried different colors for Bulma's hair and Goku's uniform until he settled on the classic orange. In the manga, Goku's suit changed from orange to deep red, copper, old gold. This desire to experiment extended to every visual detail. In Naruto, the colors of the ninja villages reflect their environment. Konoha uses greens, nature, life. Suna uses browns and oranges, desert, and IWA uses blues and whites, mountains and lightning. Although subtle, this color code helps viewers identify places and environments at a glance. Some hidden Easter eggs in the animation. Kishimoto revealed that Naruto's popular ninjutsu emblem, the spiral on his armband, was placed on his forehead to save time drawing it. It's a practical detail that, for fans, is also part of the ninja aesthetic. Extended animation. In order not to get ahead of the manga, Naruto used fillers and extended scenes in key fights. Sometimes a single fight lasted 2 or 3 episodes, including flashbacks. In fact, flashbacks are more abundant in the anime than in the manga, prolonging the action. This tactic by Studio Pierrot has its own charm. It offered extra emotional moments, such as Jiraiya's past, although some fans criticize it for interrupting the main rhythm. In Dragon Ball, every historical and cultural detail was taken care of. If a chapter showed a place, the meticulous dubbing set the mood. For example, the village of Jingle, cold, suggests Russia because of the clothing with Astrakhan hats. Everything was thought out. Even the names and destinies of the characters, the androids, the eternal dragon, etc., often hide puns or Japanese cultural references. Ghibli and technology. Although it may seem modern, Spirited Away, 2001, avoided excessive CGI. Miyazaki preferred hand-drawn backgrounds. This retro decision gives the film that timeless feel that defines the studio. The creators of these animes sometimes touch each other. For example, One Piece and Naruto paid mutual tributes to each other in their manga. In the final chapter of Naruto, Nami, from One Piece, is seen wearing a dress with the Konoha logo, while Luffy eats ramen, Naruto's favorite food, and Naruto eats meat, Luffy's favorite. At the same time, in Boruto, the Straw Hat logo appears painted on Hokage Mountain. These crossovers are gifts for fans of both sagas. There is even an official crossover between One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, and Toriko on television. Episode 590 of One Piece was part of the Dream 9 special, where Luffy, Goku, and Toriko compete in a tournament together. Seeing these heroes sharing the stage was an unprecedented milestone. On a creative level, Eiichiro Oda and Akira Toriyama have collaborated more than once. Oda, a self-confessed Dragon Ball fan, shared joint covers and confessed how much Toriyama's work inspired him. The author of One Piece has even said that he wouldn't have been able to enjoy One Piece as much if Dragon Ball didn't exist. These behind-the-scenes crossovers fuel the mystique of both franchises. Other minor Easter eggs: Dragon Ball Z features tributes to Akira, Toriyama's favorite movie, and Naruto has references to classic ninja stories and ancient Japanese novels. Animators also include fleeting visual nods, shadows reminiscent of other characters, or the names of camera operators writing USA as a nod to American scenes. These details enrich the experience for those who pay attention. Naruto. As we saw, the anime added a lot of original content. For example, Hinata's emotional confession to Naruto against pain, which is brief in the manga, was greatly expanded in the anime to exploit the intensity of the moment to the fullest. Also, after the Ninja War, the animated series held a grand funeral for all the victims, while the manga only did so for Neji. These differences reflect how Pierrot took advantage of the arcs to give the manga time and, in passing, fill the episode with extra emotion. The filler turned Naruto into a marathon of memories. The final fights are usually longer and feature flashbacks that are not found in the manga. While in the manga some fights barely take up a few pages, the anime prolongs them with real-time scenes or by exploring the fighters' past motivations. This changed the perception of some characters. For example, Sakura has more opportunities to shine in the anime than in the print version. Sailor Moon, the original anime from the 90s, tells the story in a more childish and lighthearted way than the manga. Several villains, self-contained episodes, and extra transformations were introduced in the animated series to stretch out the plot. This was common because the manga was slower. The specialized blog points out that the later animated version, Crystal, corrects this, presenting the story almost identical to the manga. In short, if you watched Sailor Senshi as a child, you may not know that the manga dealt with darker themes, lives in danger, permanent deaths, than the magical television soap opera. Other examples: it is common for anime to add content or change endings. For example, Dragon Ball GT, non-canonical, added the fusion of Goku and Vegeta with Vegeta's mustache, something that Toriyama himself later rejected in subsequent manga and movies. Or Evangelion, the end of Eva, whose actual ending differs from the ambiguous original episodes 25 and 26, hence the famous film The End of Evangelion as an alternative ending. These contrasts are less remembered, but for hardcore fans they are obsessions of debate. Recalling these curiosities takes us back to that childhood where each episode was a discovery. From the ramen markets of Naruto to the martial arts tournaments of Dragon Ball, from the mysteries of One Piece to the magic of Sailor Moon, every detail evokes that childlike wonder. Today we know that behind every happy scene there are ingenious decisions, hidden nods, and long hours of passionate work in the studio. We would love to read your own theories or memories. Which of these curiosities surprised you the most? Do you know any other secrets about your favorite anime? Tell us in the comments. And if you enjoyed this nostalgic journey, don't forget to subscribe so we can continue exploring the wonderful world of anime together. See you in the next video.